I tell you, Enel better pray to himself that Robin's okay. And what does it take to kill this guy? Jesus criminy. One Piece, chapter 275, Divina, Commedia. Commedia?
Man, oh man, what a chapter. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to dance like a monkey for you for 5 to 10 minutes, probably more like 10, and bring you another chapter review on the awesome, the terrifying, the heartfelt, the sometimes great, sometimes greater, sometimes greatest tale of One Piece. Our last chapter, of course, saw us with the end of the chapter really just kind of being Robin, trying to go and play some mind games with Enel about, hey, don't you want to hold off for a little bit? We got to get that golden bell. We got to find that. And he's like, I have an idea where it is, and I think you're a conniving little bitch. And he just went and the end of the chapter lit her up, and it did not look good for Nico Robin or her giant boobs. So we wind up ending the chapter there, and that's where we left off. That's, of course, where we pick up is Robin again, seeing a picture of her getting shot to shit, which is not very good, because I'm sure she probably did crap herself, and that's not exactly a cute thought. But anyway, she gets the crap shocked out of her and is clearly unconscious and is dropped to the ground. Zoro is pissed. Zoro is like, what? She's a woman! And Enel's like, yeah, I noticed. And Zoro goes to come at him, and Enel's like, whoa, you got skills, brother, but you can't hurt me. And they wind up, and as the chapter progresses, we wind up seeing that is true. At least that's what it looks like. This logia fruit that he has, that he possesses the power of lightning, I guess is rumored, and I think they mentioned it maybe in the last chapter, or maybe it was this one. But I do remember reading that, it's presumed to be like invincible. The bearer of this fruit is invincible. So certainly this is a tall task to think of actually how we're going to be able to defeat this opponent. If he even does get defeated. I mean, I'm assuming he has to, but I don't know. So, and he had his whole thing about endless verse, and I'm going to take everybody with you, and blah, blah, blah. So we get several pages of Zoro just trying to attack him, and of course it's a futile effort, but Zoro's not one to ever back down from a fight, regardless of it being, he has this indomitable will, but even if he fights against, he'll fight a losing battle, just because that's what he does. He fights no matter what. And although you have to, there's significance in that, and you like the fact that he always pushes forward, this one, at least at this particular juncture, is hopeless. And Enel kind of slowly brings that out with him, and he says, it's okay, don't worry. You humans are so frail and afraid of dying, but sometimes when all of your hope is crushed, it feels like dying. And it's like, yeah, I know what you're talking about, I've been through that personally myself, probably 3 times this week. So he winds up going, and as Zoro goes to come at him again, he's like, and he says, because then he says, well, we're going to be leaving soon. And Zoro's like, oh, we're not going to go with you, and he's, of course, being defiant, and he says, listen, you're going to need to be taught a lesson. And as Zoro goes and comes at him and actually is able to look like he runs him through, of course, he just kind of turns to lightning or to electricity and does not actually get hurt, get harmed. And then he winds up going and nailing Zoro and just, the body has to be taught, So, and we see Zoro not be knocked unconscious, at least initially it looks like he drops down to his knees, and it just, again, does not look very good. We wind up having, though, as that happens and that whole fight was happening, the burn bazooka was fired, it looked like a couple of times, from Wyper, and although it didn't really do anything, you kept thinking in your mind, like, Wyper's the only one that didn't seem to think, he keeps moving forward and not thinking this is hopeless, so is he just really that dense, or does he have something else planned, right? And I was so happy when I wound up seeing things go and transpire over the next several pages, because I thought in my mind, I was like, oh, good, I finally called one over here, So as everybody kind of goes and falls, we wind up seeing Zoro, of course, fall over here, and we actually get this cool little thing where the bazooka drops, right? And the next thing you know, in the next panel, we've got Wyper behind Enel, and we're like, okay, what the hell? And he grabs him, right? And Enel's kind of like, whoa, hold on a second, what's going on? He's like, what are you doing? Did you come to be killed? And he doesn't say shit. Wyper just grabs him. And I like this, because he's like, what is this? And you can see, like, by the word bubbles that it's like he's almost like pleading, like, what is this? What's going on? And of course, he wasn't able to just do his normal, like, I turn into electricity. You can't grab me. You can't touch this, for those of the fans of the 80s or early 90s and MC Hammer, can't touch this. Anyway, and then he's just like, do you know what a Sea Prism is, Enel? And this was one of the many things that I threw out a couple of chapters ago, or maybe even last chapter I talked about. I'm like, maybe they have to do something with luring him near the sea or something with the sea prisms. I didn't know where you get a sea prism, but Enel's just like, oh yeah, and he says what it is and everything. And then he goes and he says, my shooter has one in it. So the powerful can be so vulnerable. So this is how the mighty fall. This is how, you know, even the biggest, baddest person can be taken down a lot of times just because of they're vulnerable and weak because they think they're so powerful, you know, and I think that's kind of what he's getting at here. So I love this stuff, right? So he winds up having, so he's got a sea prism. He said it, the shooter has one in it. My shooter has one in it. And I don't know if that means that his burn bazooka that he used, his shooter, or the thing on his hand that he's grabbing him with. I'm not really quite sure. But Enel starts kind of freaking and twitching. He's like, it's true. I can't summon my powers, you know. And then this is the best exchange over here. You know, die. Stop it! It's a reject dial, isn't it? It will kill you too. What is your objection? Don't you want endless birth too? and Wyper's just like, shut up! I am happy to die if I can take you with me. And I just love this shit. He just boom, reject, you know. And I mean, right there, just drops the commie, the god, the whatever, Enel. And I thought it was cool because you just see this big da-doom and like the earth is shaking. He drops. We see, of course, all the different fallen warriors of the Shandians, and then it's kind of cool, too, because, and I want to read this, it says, hold the truth in your heart. Keep your mouth silent. We are the ones who weave history. And then it gives you a little flashback, and they're talking about the Ponegliff, and it goes back 800 years, and the warriors of Shandora, the warriors of Shandora and those who sought to claim the stone fought in battle. And then they're talking amongst themselves, you know, the different Shandians, you know. Did we win? Yes, we won. But survivors were few and the sacrifices too many. The survivors of that battle became the silent protectors of the great Ponegliff and the city's ruins. So they are our ancestors. But 400 years ago, the island flew up to Skypiea. And was claimed by the people of that land. Our ancestors gave so much to protect it. It was taken from us. And this is obviously all the different Shandian warriors that you saw in the battles over the last 30, 40 chapters as younger children kind of learning about this history, right? Upper Yard is our homeland. It also bears the great history of a land in the shadow of darkness. So that's obviously what Robin was talking about the true history or this missing history that's in the Poneglyph. Even though we're now in the sky, we must not let the magnificent light of Shandora be extinguished. Bring back the light of Shandora. So it was kind of cool to see that flashback sort of prophecy, sort of this is what we teach everybody in the town, you know, and that kind of thing. So, and then of course you go and you see this great shot of Wyper. The first time I've probably really enjoyed the character because it was really smart what he did. I thought it was great how he did it and how he waited for that opportune time to go and take him out. And he ultimately let Enel and his kind of his overbearing overconfidence wind up being his downfall, you know, which I thought was very cool. So you see Enel laying there dead and you're thinking, oh, great, that's the end of the chapter. He took him out and they're like, wow, is he dead? You know, that's what Nami and what's his name are saying. So then all of a sudden we get, you know, they're checking on Robin, the weird night, everything else. We get a crack, looks like a static discharge of electricity. Then all of a sudden we get, we're like, what the hell? He's massaging his own heart. People do not fear the god. Sorry. Fear is the god. And that's how the damn chapter and the freaking volume ends off. Luckily I have more of them, so I'll be able to dive into the next one. But, you know, son of a bitch, couldn't have at least just thought that he was dead for another chapter? That's where my chapter question comes in. That's how things, of course, wrap up. And my chapter question to you, brothers and sisters, is how the hell did he go and start his heart back up? I get his powers. I get lightning. I understand how electricity works, how he could basically shock himself back to life with the paddles, the imaginary paddles. You know that clear, you know, you hit the guy and his whole body flies up. You've seen it in movies. You've seen it in cartoons, whatever, right? So I get that. But where was the sea prism then that he talked about? Because he said there's a sea prism in my shooter. And was that just something that was attached to his hand? So then once he used the reject dial, it blew up or it didn't make contact with him anymore? Because I tell you, I would have stuck the sea prism up his frickin' nose or shoved it in his mouth and made him swallow the thing. That would have kept his powers gone and dead. And then The other thing, too, and the gap in logic that I find here, and I know I don't like to pick this stuff apart too much because it is a fun, entertaining, fictional story, but then, say like a year later, okay, the body's just laying there decomposing, it's got the Sea Prism shoved down his throat, so it keeps him from going and reactivating his heart or whatever, and then all of a sudden, somehow or another, the birds that are pecking away at his body or something like that, somehow the Sea Prism becomes dislodged from him, and pops away from him, whatever, right? Just bear with me here. Is he then able to go in a year or two later, go and electrocute himself back to life? I mean, is there still anything there? How long is it before he actually dies, you know? Is this devil fruit that invincible, you know? And I know I just asked a ton of different questions, but really the main one is, maybe I missed something, but was the Sea Prism, he said that it was in his shooter, was it in something that he shot him with? Or I'm presuming that it was probably somewhere in his hand or attached to his hand, and that when he fired that rejectile, maybe that like annihilated or obliterated the Sea Prism. So that's my question for you, though. For those of you that know the answer or that want to speculate on it with me, feel free to leave it in the comments down below. What an explosive end to the volume over here. God, I just go feel like punching something. But it's okay. I'm a lover, not a fighter. So feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation.
If you like hand grenades, the color purple, or a sexy swordsman named Roronoa Zoro, go on over to my Facebook or Instagram page.